Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. We want to kind of stay on track out of sensitivity to your time. And my name's Steve Sayers, Superintendent of the Amherst Schools. And on behalf of our Board of Education, we'd like to welcome everyone to our annual State of the Schools program. And speaking of our Board of Education, just wanted to introduce our 5 board members here real quickly. We have President Rex Engel. Rex, if you could stand, thank you. Vice President Mark Zappa. Board Member Teresa Gillis. And Ron Yacobosi in the back there. And also, I believe, Bob Kamnikar is here. Bob? Again, we'd like to thank everyone for being here. I know we have staff, we have members of our administrative team, we have members of city government here, parents, community members. So again, welcome to everyone. Just a couple of things, housekeeping things before we get started. Would like to, I guess, first of all, say how excited we are about this program this year. It's a little bit different. We've never done a State of the Schools where we've had live tweeting. So we actually have this year's program is being live tweeted. I guess that's the way you would say it. And folks will have the opportunity to tweet in questions later on this evening. So we're excited about that. Also wanted to make mention of the fact that you should have at each of the chairs I guess, kind of a combination program, poster, whatever you want to call it. Please feel free to take those with you and distribute or post as you see fit. You should also have at your seat a cookie provided by Sweets by Maggie. So we're certainly grateful for them in their providing those goodies this evening. And finally, I think we should have a yellow card, a note card, at each of the chairs as well. And as you have questions throughout the evening, as we work our way through the presentation, feel free to jot those down. And then later on, our facilitators will be around and they'll collect those cards, and we'll do the best we can to answer your questions for you. So again, feel free to jot those down. Or again, if you want to ask a question using my Twitter account at Stephen A. Sayers, please feel free to do that as well. And as far as the schedule is concerned, we're hoping to be finished up by 7:30. We've kind of allotted an hour for the program and then some question and answer. And we want to certainly be respectful of your time. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, we just wanted to make mention of our mission statement. We don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I did want to mention, a lot of folks are not aware of what our mission statement is, and there you see it, and this is really the statement that drives everything we do in the district. It guides all of our decision making, and it's something that we refer to often. Topics that we are going to be covering this evening involve curriculum and technology, finances, facilities, co-curriculars, and communication. And actually, to go ahead and get things started this evening, I would like to introduce our Executive Director of Educational Services, Mr. Mike Molmar, and he is going to cover the curriculum items as well as the technology items. Mike, it's all yours.
In Amherst, we pride ourselves on high-quality programs at a great value to the community. Over the last few years, we've been able to invest time and energy and resources into new programs for gifted learners and advanced learners, an expansion of services for students that need more support, and additional fine arts programs and experience for students just to encourage well-rounded children. And all this has been done, of course, through a tight and responsible budget. And our administration, teachers, and staff really understand the importance of continual improvement. Our goal is to constantly find new ways to engage students in learning. And over the next few slides, you'll see I'm going to talk just a little bit about where we're going and where we've been, and we're with new programs, curriculum, and technology in the classroom. You can see up there some slides that are going on. They're going to roll as I talk. I'm not going to hit on every single picture, but I wanted to start off with just, where are we and where are we going? This year, of course, we opened all day, every day, tuition-free kindergarten at Powers Elementary School. We had 205 students enroll in the program, which was an increase of 20 students from the previous year. We're also able to add at that time, of course, 4 exceptional kindergarten teachers that we're new to an already great kindergarten staff. We're very excited about the results so far. We anticipate a great future, not only bringing new students into the district and a great all-day program, but also just the results of preparing students for first grade. We're doing a great job. And you might have seen the slides, a picture of the orchestra program. This year we initiated an orchestra program at Nord Middle School in 5th and 6th grade. We hired Anna Balmer, who I think you'll see later this evening with some students. She has right now almost 90 students in the program. And in next year, the orchestra program will also move into the Amherst High School. And in a few years, then obviously into Marion L. Steele High School. We're excited because we already have an excellent band program, an excellent choir program. So adding another opportunity for students and just increasing numbers in the fine arts is just a fantastic opportunity. We're really excited about where that's going. In our middle grades at Amherst Elementary School and also at Nord, our students often participate in extracurricular programs, activities, competitions. We join with the Gifted Consortium of Lorraine County, and our students often participate in things like Young Authors, which many of you heard before, Mock Trial, Invention Convention, Mathmania. We've actually done a few YouTube Comet conversations on some of those programs, so we definitely want you to check that out if you have time to go to the YouTube channel. But every year we do extremely well. We get great feedback from the leaders of those programs and all who participate. This year, 11 of the 16 finalists in Mathmania were for Amherst students. I believe last year, I think, in one age group in Mathmania, 15 out of 16 finalists in the whole county were Amherst students. So they always do an amazing job, and our teachers do a great job of keeping them ready. Not only perform academically, but also with respect and guidance and leadership. They do a great job at those middle grades. I don't think I need to tell anyone that the junior high school won the 2015 National Blue Ribbon Award this year. It was one of only, let's have a cool. If you think about, there are over 600 school districts in the state with thousands of schools. Only 14 schools this year were awarded a Blue Ribbon Award. Only 3 in Northeast Ohio, and the junior high was one of them. They had an excellent track record of all teachers and students performing academically really well, to credit to Principal Coleman and Ms. Newhoff and the staff there at Amherst Junior High School. They're always investing in students. They do a great job of preparing students for high school. Speaking of high school, we have over 40 advanced placement courses, college tech and elective courses at Marion L. Steele High School. Over the last few years, we've added a few, and I was going to mention a couple of those, but I actually brought a list because I thought how important it is. It's not easy to develop a new course at the high school. There's a lot of planning and involvement, and really a willingness of the department heads and the teachers to want to take on such a project. So just listen for just a quick moment. Last year in 2014-15, the high school added history of sports, criminal justice, speech and debate, and chemistry 2. This year alone, the high school added forensic science, a combined advanced chemistry and biology course, AP biology, creative writing, foundations of journalism, introduction to philosophy, and history of the Cold War. Some of those courses you won't find anywhere else. Next year, we're looking at adding statistics, pre-calculus, and anatomy and physiology 1 and 2. And those are all college credit courses. So statistics and pre-calculus are 3 credits, and anatomy and physiology are both 4 credits. One thing that you'll find in the last year and a half is that the state created a College Credit Plus program, and here we call it the Comet College Campus. We continue to add programs where students get high school credit, but also earn college credit at Lorraine County Community College. And with College Credit Plus, those credits can be transferred to any school, any college, university in the state of Ohio. So you're talking about students, your children, who can earn credits at high school and even leave high school graduating with an associate's degree and save money toward college tuition because it's not paid for by you, it's actually paid for partly by the district. If you look at this chart here, this is from Lorraine County Community College. You'll see that Amherst, out of all the school districts listed here, and some that aren't listed, obviously beyond Lorraine County, you'll see that Amherst students at the high school earn 2,021 college credits. And that's a value of about $309,000 in LCC value. If you equate that to transferring those credits to colleges and universities throughout Ohio in a 4-year, that will translate, Lorraine County Community College says, into over $1 million in savings to you, the families of Amherst, because of what's being done at the high school with Lorraine County Community College and that partnership. And again, with school districts that are much larger with more students and probably supposedly more options, you're not going to find any school district around here that has what we have. And Mr. May and Ms. Kornick and the high school staff is looking to actually continue to build on beyond that. In 2017-18, we're looking at a whole beginning of computer science courses and also biomimicry and other ones that are planning to come. So we're very excited about that. You should be very proud of the high school and also all that they do. Well, in addition to curriculum and programs, we've also invested quite a bit in the newest technology for our students and staff. Investing in technology is very important and a major priority because you know almost every career has something to do with technology. Not only with technology, but also with the collaboration and communication and cooperation involved in that technology in all those careers. So we're going to highlight a few things real quick about those instructional tools that we use through technology. You know, 4 years ago, our students and staff were equipped with some outdated devices. Our infrastructure was average, it wasn't too bad. We had multiple operating systems and ineffective Wi-Fi. Well, through reductions in other areas like copying, paper, old technology, we were able to invest in new technology, and we were able to purchase over the last few years hundreds of iPads and laptops and smartboards for the students and staff. So they have the most up-to-date technology in their hands. Earlier, I think you saw a picture of students holding robotic spheres. We're going to mention that real quick, just an example. A new kind of product came out called Sphero, which is a robotic kind of sphere or ball that students can control through an iPad and an app. What's really cool about that is, you know, the biggest thing now is computer coding, right? Writing code to program computing. And everyone knows that there's going to be an explosion in those computer sciences over the next few years in careers in the country and the world. And NORD, you know, it was interesting. The Lorraine County Educational Service Center invested in purchasing a set for districts to rent out to practice and use and get ready for Sphero and coding. And we saw the need and we invested in buying our own set for NORD. So that was just kind of a cool picture you saw earlier of students really having the newest technology in their hands to prepare for the future. And finally, I just have to mention, you know, we have amazing partners with our elementary PTOs, the Amherst Schools Educational Foundation, who understand the importance of technology, who see where we're heading and the vision for that, and who support us. Just as an example, the district and the board actually invested a little bit ago in more iPads for Harris Elementary School. And next year we're looking to have a 1-to-1 iPad to student ratio at Harris for 3rd and 4th grade. And the PTO is supporting that by helping put an iPad cart in every classroom. So those are the kind of partnerships we're excited about. There are other organizations and groups that we always look for grants with. But it's just amazing partners in the Amherst community, very in Amherst and also right around the community that just support us, and we just appreciate it so much. We thank you for all that and recognize that technology is going to be a critical part in education now and in the future, and we just thank you for that. At this point, I think I'll turn it back over to Mr. Sayers.
One of the things that we're most proud of is the fact that we've been able to implement some new programming, as Mike had indicated, invest in technology, yet remain on track financially. We are probably in the best position that the Amherst schools have been in, I would say, the last 12 to 15 years. And we've been able to do that, obviously, with the support of the community, but also in working collaboratively with our staff to implement some very strategic cost savings measures that benefit the district, not just short term, but long term as well. Wanted to highlight just a couple of charts here, if I could. One of the things that I think we all pride ourselves in here at Amherst is the ability to provide a good return on investment. I think everyone here realizes the quality of an Amherst education, and what's really neat is we're able to provide that education at a very, very low cost. And what you see here is a chart that was actually obtained from the Lorraine County Auditor's Office in January of 2016, and it shows the property taxes per $100,000 of market value. And you see that the Amherst Schools are third lowest in terms of property taxes here among the districts in Lorraine County. So that's something to feel good about in terms of talking about return on investment. The other thing I wanted to mention is our 5-year forecast. Actually, we're in the process of updating our 5-year forecast. We will be doing that at the May Board of Education meeting. But as you can see, we have some very healthy cash balances. Those cash balances now are actually increasing. And assuming we renew an operating levy sometime in 2017, we will be financially stable through at least, and I would like to emphasize, at least 2020. We're looking out 5 years at this point, but we're optimistic that we can extend it out even further than that. I also would mention, and this is probably a good time to mention it, later on in the program we're going to talk about a master's facility plan. And a big component of our master facility plan is reducing the number of buildings from 5 to 4. And of course that would generate some additional cost savings. We're estimating at least savings of $500,000 a year. So that would actually enhance or make our financial position even stronger than what it already is. Moving into facilities, as many of you are aware, we do have some facility struggles and some challenges that we're working with. Here you see some modular units that we're dealing with and working with at Harris Elementary. We're running into some challenges, particularly at our elementary levels as we look at Powers and Harris. These buildings are becoming more and more expensive to operate and maintain. We're also experiencing some problems with our HVAC systems at Nord and here at the high school as well. But before I get into the long-term comprehensive kind of master plan, I want to draw attention to some projects that we have going on specifically here at the high school this summer. And we're fortunately are able to make some changes and make some upgrades here at the high school with resources that we already have on hand. And the first one I would like to highlight is a renovation of our high school media center. And this is actually being made possible through a partnership with the Amherst Educational Foundation. They are actually contributing $200,000 to the cost of the renovation of this steel media center. And that's an exciting project. You're going to see some pictures here in just a few minutes, some before and after pictures. And this is something we're real excited about as we think about a media center that will be appropriate for 21st century education and actually modeled after some of the things that they're doing at Lorraine County Community College. The second project that we're looking at here at the high school are upgrades to our south lobby area. You may be aware that the bathrooms down there, the restrooms are very, very outdated and, at least in my estimation, are in very poor condition. We also have some traffic flow kinds of issues due to the ramp that runs down the middle of the hallway in that lobby area. So we're looking at an upgrade there that will involve some changes to these areas as well, some upgrades in lighting and finishes and those kinds of things. And again, you'll see some pictures here in just a few minutes. And then the other thing we're looking at here is in a parking lot, I guess a parking lot renovation project here specifically in front of the high school here, actually extending from the main entrance all the way down to this practice field will be a new concrete parking lot. That project will also take place this summer as well. So some very specific upgrades to our high school. Again, the idea is to make some changes that will really position our high school for kind of a long-term solution to some of our facility challenges. Here are some pictures that I was alluding to. You can see this is the hallway. You may not be able to see it very well. It's kind of dark there, but the ramp that runs right down the middle of the hallway, that will be reconfigured, and that ramp will kind of be off to the side there, which will improve traffic flow into the lobby. Here's another picture of the updated concession stand area. We also have, I think, a couple of more pictures here of the South Lobby, just looking at general changes in flooring and lighting. And again, the area will be much more aesthetically pleasing compared to kind of the dark, dingy kind of feel that we have down there at this time. And then we actually shift into the media center, some before and after pictures. You see on the right there some renderings of what the space will look like. And then our upcoming slides kind of break those areas down. We'll have multiple areas. For example, this is a model classroom, which will be a part of that media center upgrade. All of those tables and chairs are on wheels, and it'll give the teachers a lot of flexibility in terms of some creativity and innovation with their lessons. Presentation space you saw on the last slide that will be used for professional development. We'll be able to hold our Board of Education meetings there, as well as other community meetings. That will be made available. Some small group spaces. And again, many of these things are modeled after some things we've observed at both Mentor High School. They've done some things with their media center. And then also, as I mentioned, Lorain County Community College. Now as we move into more of a district-wide kind of a look at things, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we're really having some struggles with our elementary buildings in involving the cost of maintaining those buildings. And we were very fortunate, I guess, to find out about a year ago that we were in line, or most likely are in line, to receive a state funding offer. And we thought it would be a good opportunity to pull together a group of people from the community, and we actually formed a facility advisory committee. Some of you were on that committee, and about 40 people met several times last spring and summer and developed a long-term master facility plan which serves as a comprehensive approach to addressing some of our facility challenges. And before we move further into the details of what that master plan would look like, I want to take just a minute and kind of pause, and we're going to share a little bit of a video with you. And I also would like to thank, we had two of our high school students that were very, very helpful in putting this together. Stephen Hawen and Marianne Ferentz helped us with this project, and want to give them credit and thank them as well.
Amherst Schools provide a strong return on investment for taxpayers. We keep taxes low and add high-quality programs without adding costs. To continue our progress, we must continue to look for ways to operate more efficiently as a district.
Our elementary schools are old, they drain limited dollars, and they hinder education. Our elementary schools have failing heating, cooling, and plumbing systems. Our electrical systems can barely handle the technology we have now, let alone what the future will bring. And our classrooms are too small for student collaboration, which they'll need to practice to compete in a global economy.
Worse, it costs almost as much to repair our elementaries as it would to replace them, and we spend hundreds of thousands each year on Band-Aid repairs that won't solve our problems.
Going from 5 buildings to 4 would save us up to $500,000 annually, and a new building would have updated safety and security features that are critical for the challenges we face today.
It is time to invest in our buildings and improve the learning environment for our kids. So we ask the community what to do.
You suggested we should build one new elementary school for kids in preschool through 3rd grade.
And that we should upgrade the heating and cooling systems at Nord and Steele.
The Ohio School Facilities Commission agrees. If we replace our schools, the state will pay for about 50% of the total project cost, and we can pay for our share without raising taxes.
To do the project, Amherst would need to pass a no new tax bond issue, likely on the November ballot. This keeps the tax rate the same by effectively extending our current bond rate for an additional 27 years.
A new elementary and upgraded buildings with no tax increase? A deal like this doesn't come around very often.
If you have any questions about how this plan fits our community's long-term strategy, please call or email Superintendent Sayers at the board office.
Created using Powtoon.
So let's talk about our master facilities plan. And as I mentioned at the outset, the idea is to implement a plan that will serve as a long-term solution versus a Band-Aid approach. And this is what we've heard from our Facility Advisory Committee, and this is the master plan that we're moving forward with. And that involves building a new Powers Elementary to house grades preschool through third grade. It would involve turning Nord into a 4-5 building and also making some upgrades to the HVAC systems there. The Amherst Junior High School would become a 6 through 8 building. The Steele High School would remain 9 through 12, but we would be making significant upgrades to the HVAC systems, in particular in the older portion of the building. So this is what the master facility plan looks like. You're probably wondering about the existing elementaries. What would happen to those? And essentially, what we know is, as part of the funding package that the state provides, it actually includes a demolition of the old elementaries or the current elementaries. It doesn't mean that we have to demolish, but those costs are factored into the funding, state funding offer. We would have to demolish Harris Elementary. That's where the new elementary building would sit. Most likely, we would demolish Powers Elementary. That would free up some space that perhaps could be used for additional parking here across the street from the high school. Could also be utilized for athletic fields if those things are needed in the future. And as far as Shoup is concerned, we would actually have the option of selling that building or demolishing that building. That has not yet been determined. But as far as Harris, that building for sure would have to come down to accommodate the new elementary. And what you see here is a site plan. And again, I want to emphasize that this doesn't mean this is exactly what the building would look like. Design of the building would not happen until after a bond issue were to pass. But we wanted to provide a kind of a graphical representation so you can see how a new elementary building might sit on this piece of property over there adjacent to Amherst Junior High School. In terms of financing the project, as you heard there in the video, we actually have a very nice opportunity due to a number of factors. As I mentioned, the state has told us that we're in line for a funding offer that will pay for approximately 50% of the project cost. The other thing we have going for us is the interest rates are very, very good at this point in time. And what this graph kind of shows you is how we can implement this project without increasing taxes. And basically, it's a combination of two things. It's refinancing the remaining years that are left on the bond issue that was used to build the junior high. That was an issue that was passed in 2000. And again, we have a few years left on that bond, and by refinancing that, and then essentially asking the voters, and if the voters are willing to continue to give us in taxes what they've been giving us since 2000, we will be able to build the elementary school, make the upgrades at Nord with HVAC, make the upgrades at the high school, all without increasing the current tax rate. Essentially, the new bond would be picking up where the old bond leaves off. Transition plan. If we were fortunate enough to be successful with a ballot issue in November of 2016, as I mentioned, the elementary building would go on that Harris, what we refer to as the Harris site right now, which means we'd have to find a place for those students during the construction period. You can see in 2016-17, that's our current configuration. If we were successful, we would have to implement a transition plan. And you see that transition plan listed there in the middle column for those 2 years, 17-18 and 18-19. Powers would become a pre-K through 2 building, which is essentially what it is now with the exception of preschool. We'd be moving that from Nord back to Powers for those 2 years. Nord would become a 3 through 5 building. You're probably wondering how we could fit 3 grades into that building. Again, that's due to our declining enrollment. We're estimating that with the 3rd through 5th graders, we'd probably have about 730 students in the Nord building. Clearly it would be crowded, but actually we've had over 700 students in that building before we built the junior high, when the district was experiencing a lot of crowding and a lot of growth. And so the fact that we would be looking at over 700 students at Nord would not be unprecedented. Junior high, as I mentioned, would become 6 through 8. Again, due to declining enrollment, we have the ability to move the 6th graders into that building. And of course, the high school would remain 9 through 12. And then assuming, as I mentioned, the issue, if it were to pass, and all construction goes as we would like it to go, we hope that the building would open in the fall of 2019 with our Powers Elementary School pre-K 3, Nord 4-5, junior high 6-8, and then Steel 9-12, and that would be our finished product. And at the end of the day, we would have 4 buildings that will take us well into the future. Of course, the elementary would be new. Nord would have the upgraded HVAC systems, still a very, very solid building. Junior high is a relatively new building. And the high school, with the HVAC upgrades, as well as the additions that were done in the early 2000s, along with the media center and south lobby upgrades, again, put us in a very good position as we look to the future. I wanted to just point out something that I would encourage you to check our website. There is a facilities update tab that we're constantly adding information to in terms of where we're at with this facilities project and information. So feel free to check on that at your leisure. There's a lot of good information there. And at this time, again, kind of shifting gears, moving from facilities back into our kind of our academic and co-curricular programs. And I know our students are getting ready for their performance here, but while they're doing that, one of the things that we believe here in Amherst is that there's a lot of components to a high-quality education. And obviously reading and math and those core areas are very, very important, but we also believe that things like the arts and athletics and character, service, what it means to give back to your community, those kinds of things are very, very important components to a high-quality education. And as you heard before, one of the things that we're very, very proud of is our new orchestra program that we've implemented at Nord this year, and we'll actually be moving to the junior high next year, and subsequent years we'll be phasing that in at the high school as well. And thought it would be appropriate that we take a few minutes and hear from our very, very talented students at Nord Middle School and our instructor Anna Balmer.
It's the first year. We have combined 5th and 6th graders, and we have almost 90 kids in the program. So from your left to right, we have Alexis Clappus on violin, Jocelyn George, Olivia McGrath on violin. We have Haley Counts on viola, Brittany Lee on cello, and Aurora Wilson, who has joined the dark side for now. She's actually a band student, but these ladies are doing a talent show, and they have Aurora jump on some strings on an electric piano that counts. But the piece that they're playing for you tonight is called French Folk Song, and I could not be more proud of these students. In fact, I'm going to start them and walk away. They've had about 22 lessons so far, and they're incredible. It's been a great year, so thank you all for your support, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our administrators. Enjoy.
we just think it's very, very important that we build our arts program. Of course, as you know, we have a very strong band program, very strong choral program. Pop show is actually coming up here in a couple of weeks, the 50th, I think it's the 50th anniversary. And now to be able to add the orchestra program to that is just an outstanding thing. Also wanted to mention in terms of athletics, we actually very proud of our student athletes and their accomplishments. We compete in the Southwest Conference, which is a very, very competitive league. Our students do very well competing at the conference level, even into the regional and state levels. We had, I think actually just recently here, we had a couple of our wrestlers competed at the state tournament. And again, just I could probably spend a half hour listing the accomplishments of our athletes at various things. So again, we believe that's a very, very important part of an overall well-rounded, high-quality education. And in the idea of service. We talk a lot about giving back to the community and community service, and our students and staff have really done a wonderful job. We have student council groups that donate at food banks. I know our Leo Club is currently involved in a partnership with a church here in town, providing food in backpacks for needy students and needy families. Just a wonderful, wonderful program that they've started. We have Amherst Pride Day, I think, coming up here in a couple of weeks, where many of our school groups, I know, will be involved in that, in cleaning up and doing that kind of spring cleaning here in the Amherst community. And again, that's something that I just want to congratulate our students and staff for doing such a great job in that area. And then finally, we want to finish up with communications. Here you see actually we're in the process of updating our school website. And one of the things that we've learned is it's important to update your website every 3 to 5 years. And this is a kind of a sneak peek at our new website, which will go live within the next 1 to 2 months here. We're putting the finishing touches on that, so we're excited about that. And just communications, in general, is something that we've really tried to ramp up our efforts to communicate in a variety of different ways. You see there through various social media, Twitter accounts. We have a number of Twitter accounts throughout the district. Our Facebook page is actually, I think we're reaching about 1,000 people a day with our Facebook. Our new YouTube channel, we just found out, has earned more than 15,000 views. We've seen a lot of growth in viewing of our YouTube channel. So we encourage you, if you're not already following and tuning into those kinds of things, that you may want to do so. We're also trying to do monthly Comet conversations. We're doing a newsletter a couple of times a year, email blasts and information to parents and other community members who are interested in receiving those. One of the things that we hope to start doing is a monthly column in the Amherst News-Times, and then of course this State of the Schools program. So that's just some of what we're trying to do from a communication standpoint. It's important that we hear from you, and we're trying to communicate back to our community in a variety of different ways. And certainly if you have ideas and suggestions in terms of how we can better do that, please feel free to let us know. And I think at this point in time, we actually moved through, I think we were guessing around 40 minutes, and I think we were pretty close. So we are now moving into the question and answer portion of the program, and I don't know where we're at in terms of questions.
Steve, how do we know that operating costs won't increase with a new building?
Well, and again, that's a great question. And one of the things that is so exciting about this project is the fact that we're actually, through the implementation of this project, we're actually able to reduce operating costs. And again, the primary reason for that is we'll be going from 5 buildings to 4. And so when you look at the cost of operating 5 versus 4 buildings, you look at what we're spending now in Band-Aid repairs, we will actually be able to operate much more efficiently, and as I mentioned, to actually enhance our stable financial position that we're currently in.
How can we preserve the history of Harris and Shoup if they won't be around anymore?
Oh, great question, and I apologize. I should have mentioned that during the presentation. As you noticed in the slide, it's our intention to maintain Powers Elementary School. The new building would be named Powers Elementary, and it's also our hope through the design of that building to somehow incorporate, whether it be the Harris name or Shoup name, into that building. It could be, for example, the Harris Kindergarten Wing, or could be a Media Center, or whatever that would look like. But it is our intention as we go through that design process to kind of incorporate that tradition into that building.
What about the tenants that are currently in Shoup? What will happen to the church that's currently renting Shoup?
We do not know yet. We have wonderful tenants. Pastor Carson Collins from Great Lakes Church has actually been renting Shoup for, I think it's about 4 years now.
I didn't ask that question.
But it's a great question. And they have been wonderful tenants and have given a nice, really, presence in that area. I think we would all agree that vacant buildings are not a good thing. And the fact that they've been able to step in there and rent that building and really do a lot of wonderful things in our community, certainly, Carson and his congregation are to be commended. As I say, we really have a couple of options. As a school district, we could sell the building as is, the land and the building as is, or an option could be to demolish the building and then sell it or use it for another purpose, and those decisions have not yet been made.
And the last question I have, unless you have more, is who will be building the buildings? Will it be local companies?
That is actually handled through the bidding process. We are actually, if we are able to pass the bond issue in November, we'll start with the architects. The architect is actually jointly selected between the school district and the Ohio Schools Facility Commission, and then there is a process and a procedure that we have to follow as we go out for bids. And certainly it's our hope. We want to give everyone, especially those local contractors, an opportunity to bid on that project. But having said that, there's a pretty prescriptive set of guidelines that we have to follow. And again, we want to open that up and make sure those bids are as competitive as they can possibly be.
I think I broke this. No, it works. The last question we have is, does that mean you'll need an operating levy soon? I think you answered it during your presentation, but do you want to just hit on that one more time?
Absolutely. We, as I mentioned at the outset, we have a renewal levy that we will have to take a look at sometime during the 2017 calendar year. And if we are able to pass that renewal levy, which will not increase taxes, as we know from our current 5-year forecast, we're stable through at least 2020. And then again, one of the key advantages, I think, to this master facility plan is not just that it provides buildings that will be appropriate for education in the 21st century, but it helps us operate even more efficiently as a district. And so even for those folks that don't have children in schools, even those folks that may not necessarily benefit firsthand from a new or updated building, the fact that we will be operating more efficiently will actually be able to push out the time until we have to come back for an operating levy. And I think that's a big, obviously, plus, to this particular master plan. No, not actually this year. After the refinancing process is complete, the current bond issue that is on the books will be scheduled to be paid off in 2029, after the refinancing process takes place.
Well, I don't know which way to turn because I feel kind of sad sitting here. Number one, my name's Mary Miller. I was Mary Powers Miller. Dad was superintendent of these schools for many years and kind of grew up in the school. and then stayed there a while and retired in 1992. It makes me sad because I just found out that our class president just died the 1st of May. We graduated in 1944. We sat in the study hall and heard President Roosevelt declare war. Our boys were taken out of the classroom to be drafted at that time, and then they finally quit doing that. But many quit school, and many went into the armed forces at that time, and then came back to graduate. We were in one building, and that was Central. And when I hear about all of the technology that these young people are going to have, I wonder when they're going to have time for those times that we had together as classmates and loved our school. We weren't in another building. We weren't in a college doing college work. We were at Central School doing things together, and we still talk about it. We're so glad we grew up when we did, because we could have school like that, and we still remember those days. We still think we're in high school when we get together until we get home and look in the mirror. And also about what we're going to have for our children. Is there a way that as a service to the country that the school children could start writing letters to the government? That all children will have this kind of schooling? That not just people in Amherst, Ohio, or Avon, or places that have lots of money, or more money than the ghetto areas, Chicago, ghetto areas in Cleveland, but they still do produce some pretty good kids who have a focus with help. Can we all get together and try to see that all the children in this world, in this country, are going to have a school comparable to each need for each child in this world? Because it ain't going to be right until this happens. The drugs are going to flow. Depression's going to happen, continue. What can we do to see that all of the children can have what we're talking about now, which is wonderful? And please pray for the family of Harry Saviors, our class president, who became a principal in one of the schools in Berea and was a prince of a young man, and we had such good times.
So thank you very much. Your two-part question is, how can we make sure that students all over the world have access to equitable schools like Amherst? And I can answer part of that question because Ohio School Facilities Commission, that is helping pay for 50% of the building, is also doing that throughout the state based on need, property value, and the condition of the school building. So they are helping pay for new facilities across the state, and they have been doing so for about 16 years. So, yep, and we just have to keep doing it. I agree. We have to keep advocating for equitable school funding for not just the facilities, but for operating. And then Mr. Molnar, her other question was about balancing traditional educational methods with technology-based education.
All right, thank you. One thing I love about Amherst is that, we have a vision for the future, but we are so grounded in history and the past and what works. And what works, of course, is a good community, relationships, great teachers, and technology will never take that away. So one thing I want to let you know, and I mentioned it kind of in my slide, is that while we are investing in technology, it's technology to be used for collaboration, cooperation, and communication. So we're not looking to put students in front of a device for them to work on their own. Our goal is to put them in front of a device with other students to work on a project that they can work together. Because that's where they're going in their careers, is working together, but using technology to do it. And I encourage everyone, if you're interested, in August, when we open the new media center, we encourage, it's going to be a kickoff and a grand opening. We encourage you to come there because you will see some of the different aspects of that space, the model classroom and the collaboration stations where We want students to go, not to work in isolation, but work with each other and together. And you'll see it actually physically in the new media center. So I encourage you to be there and everyone to also be there. And I don't think there's one principal or teacher in here that will ever want to get rid of or move away from excellent instruction by great people. And that's what we have here. So this will hopefully, technology will just be a tool to use to do things a little bit better and to do things in a little bit way that's more comfortable for kids in this current environment. Okay?
Any alternative plans or considerations if the levy doesn't pass?
No, we haven't looked at alternatives. Our plans are right now, we've been told by the Facilities Commission that there's a 99.9% chance that we will receive a funding offer, and that we are to plan as though a funding offer would happen here in the next 2 to 3 months. And assuming that does happen, we plan to be on the ballot in November. We're looking at this opportunity in November from a timing standpoint because, as I mentioned, in 2017, we have an operating levy that we will need to renew. So to answer your question, this is really our best opportunity to address our facility challenges in kind of a comprehensive way because we know we have that renewal levy. If it doesn't pass, then we're going to have to figure out a way to continue to kind of, Band-Aid things together and piece things together and to make things work, to the best of our ability, utilizing things like modulars and those kinds of things that we would, I think, all rather not do. But if we have to do that, then we'll certainly, do the best we can. But what we do know is it will clearly be more efficient for the residents and taxpayers of Amherst to operate 4 buildings under this master plan than it will be to operate 5 buildings, 2 of which are elementary schools that are in serious need of maintenance, not just maintenance, but emergency kind of repairs that are going to have to be made at some point in time. So again, we're just trying to address it in a way that makes sense, not just for the short term, but for the long term. And candidly, we've been holding off on some repairs. I mean, we have significant issues at Powers and Harris that we really haven't addressed because we knew this opportunity was out there, and we didn't think it made sense to pour $200,000 into some HVAC fixes at Powers or Harris or wherever it might be, if we have a chance to address things through a state funding offer. So again, we're trying to look at it from kind of a big picture, comprehensive approach versus the short-term kind of Band-Aid and piece things together kind of approach.
You'd get one more Twitter question, and it is, how can we see this presentation if we weren't able to be here in person, other than following it on Twitter?
We will actually have this posted on our website, if I would say possibly as early as tomorrow. We have a very talented tech department, folks that are a lot smarter than I am, and they'll figure out how all this stuff works, and we'll get it posted on the website and through these various vehicles of communication. And we know that, the nice thing about that, people can see the information when it's convenient for them to see. So yes, it will be posted in those other locations. Yes, and the video will be available on YouTube as well.
So just to be clear, this slide here is refinancing the current capital bonds and would also pay for the future construction. Next, that's this year, November, and then next year, November, separate from this is the operating levy?
Yes, we have. This is what we're looking at to finance the facility project. And we're, again, assuming our funding offer comes through from the state, we anticipate being on a November ballot. And then we have the renewal operating levy, which is also a no new tax levy. It's continuing what we already have, kind of a thing, would have to be addressed either in May of 2017 or November of 2017. Yes?
So I apologize, I came in late, so if you answered this question already. So I watched the YouTube video and I've seen this slide. It seems like we said, well, we don't want to do Band-Aids, so we have to build a new school. And we've gotten bids to actually do the repairs. Because if you look at the restructuring, it appears like we'll have $800,000 or $900,000 per year, starting next year, that we could put into repairs, so we wouldn't have this debt until 2053. Just that number on the 2053 seems like way too long. You know, my little ones will have their own kids in school by the time this thing gets paid off.
Mm-hmm. Yes, actually the state has done an assessment, and essentially what's happened for our elementary schools, they will not, if the cost of renovating exceeds 2/3 of the cost of building new, they won't provide funding for that. And as you look at the Powers building and the Harris building, we've exceeded that 2/3 kind of threshold. So they would not make any funding available to us for that reason. It would be, we do have costs of what it would, of what it would cost to make those repairs and bring all those buildings up to state standards. And it, like I say, would exceed that 2/3 of a cost of building new. The other thing is that we would not be able to, and again, I want to reemphasize this, we think one of the key things to this is moving from 5 buildings to 4. And even if we did repair our current buildings, there would be no way that we could utilize our existing buildings without using modular units. And again, that's where some of the efficiencies come into play. So we would be spending a lot of money, to maintain, these current buildings and repair these current buildings, which would be an option, but over the long haul, we believe would be much more expensive because of, again, the cost of operating 4 buildings versus the cost of operating 5. And that's the other thing I did want to mention is that the modulars, under the master plan, we would obviously no longer have a need for utilizing modulars, which I know is a concern of many folks.
I know I'm not the only one thinking it, so I'm going to keep asking. Has there been any consideration of reduction or elimination of pay to play?
We have talked about that. We have looked at that. Actually, the reality that we find ourselves in, and I say we, Amherst, most school districts in Ohio have implemented some type of pay to participate fee. We have chosen not to eliminate that fee. The reason for that, we don't like it. We don't like pay to play those fees any more than anyone else. But what we have chosen to do is, if we take away that revenue stream, that shifts the burden to all the taxpayers in Amherst. So we have chosen to maintain that pay to participate fee. And one of the things that allows us to do is maintain the 3rd lowest property taxes in Lorain County. There are some districts that their fees are lower than ours, but if you look at their property taxes are a lot higher than ours. And if you look at the percentage of families that are actually impacted by pay to participate versus the total number of tax-paying residents in Amherst, it's a very, very, very minute and very, very small number. Certainly it does create challenges for those families, but what we have done is taken the approach that we think it makes more sense for those families to pick up some of that cost because it is an extracurricular activity versus increasing the tax burden for the entire community. Did I answer your question? Okay. Yes.
That pay to play does not cover the entire cost of what it costs to run all the various.
No.
The school system still supplements.
Yes. It's roughly about, it covers about half of the cost to operate our athletic and extracurricular program. And again, it's a trade-off. I mean, we could lower the fees, but then you look at, that those dollars have to be made up somewhere else. And that's one of, like I said, that's one of the reasons why we're able to maintain the 3rd lowest level of property taxes in the county. Okay. Again, I just, on behalf of our Board of Education, want to thank you for being here. At any time you have questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to send me an email, call me. My cell phone number is on the website. Whatever works for you, please feel free to give me a call. Thank you for your support of the Amherst Schools, and go Comets. Thank you.